He's the Hall of Famer, NBA on TNT analyst Charles Barkley. He's an Arizona resident. He joins us now. How do you feel about your Arizona Cardinals there, Chuck?
It's a decision. It's a job decision. If you go with the young fella with the number one draft pick, if he works out, you keep your job. If it doesn't work out, you're going to get fired, plain and simple.
But I go back to when you were being drafted and people weren't sure how you would fit in. Like, we profile all the time. We profile in all walks of life here. But they had nobody to compare you to. If you were coming out now, would you have would you go higher in the draft? Would we know more about you and have the comps, and therefore we'd go, okay, we know where we can put him in, plug him in?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I think listen, those guys, that's why, the general managers normally get breaks because they normally get to fire 2 or 3 coaches before people realize the GM is the problem. I think being a GM is probably the safest job in all of sports because like I said, you get to hire and fire like 2 or 3 coaches before people realize you're the one making these decisions. So you make the decision, and if it doesn't work out, that's why you get paid all that money, Dan. And I tell you what, it's a big one for Arizona. I mean, if you draft Kyler and it doesn't work out, you deserve to get fired. But you got to do something with Rosen also. I mean, he's only been there for 1 year, and they didn't have a lot of weapons, so that's such a small sample size. But like I say, if you draft a young fella from Oklahoma and it doesn't work out, you got to get fired, plain and simple.
If Zion Williamson was coming out 15 years ago, 20 years ago, would we look at him differently than we do now in today's NBA?
Well, I think he would have been a much better player in my day because he's a tweener. He's a 3-4, kind of like myself. And you just, you played the game on talent and physicality. I think he'd have been a much better player in my day. Like, I think it'll be a lot harder for me to play in the NBA today, chasing those 3s and 4s around out on the floor, the way the NBA is structured today. I mean, I'm smart enough to know that. Like, Zion's going to be a 3 or a 4. Obviously, he's going to have an advantage against some 3s, be a disadvantage against some 4s. But I think he would have been a much better player in my day, like I wouldn't have been as good a player today, the way they play the game today.
Would you take him number 1?
I like the kid Barrett personally, because I think scoring that's what you got to do in the NBA game today. I think Zion is a very, very talented kid. Like I say, my biggest concern is what position he's going to play. And people say, well, it's positional as basketball. Not on one end of the floor is not. When you're trying to chase a 3 around or a 4 around, if the guy's smart, he would post up. But I'd probably take Barrett number 1, in my personal opinion.
Did you think the NBA had to find Russell Westbrook in that situation in Utah?
Yes. And I think that, listen, most of our fans are fantastic. But that's about 10% that that are just bad people. Oh, Dan, let me tell you something. Mm-hmm. I am never watching soccer again. Let me tell you something. I have made up my mind. I have given soccer every opportunity, even though America sucks at it, except for the women. The women are great, but the men suck at it. But let me tell you something. My dream come true would be for a fan to come out on the field and hit me. That would be like my dream come true. And let me tell you something. What pissed me off, number one, homeboy just flopped, but also the other team didn't beat the hell out of the spectator.
So that was Aston Villa. Yeah, Jack Grealish, I think's his name. He got hit from behind.
I don't care if his name is Buster Douglas. If a fan come on the court, all the players on both teams, even if let's take, for example, Bill Laimbeer.
Okay.
Who I never liked. I like him now. We're cool. But I never liked. If a fan hit Bill Laimbeer, we're in the same fraternity. I can't let a fan come on the court and hit him. And so those soccer players who let that man get hit, and then this dude is kissing to the crowd, he wouldn't have been kissing to the crowd if I had got my hands on him. That's my dream come true for a fan to hit me.
So what you're
I'm
saying
never
is,
watching soccer again.
if Bill Laimbeer was attacked by a fan and you were playing,
all 10 guys on the court should beat the hell out of that spectator. Because Dan, we're all in the same fraternity. I don't wish any ill toward any NBA player, but if somebody hit Bill Laimbeer just out of being in the brotherhood, we should whoop the hell out of that fan. And when this soccer player, number one, he stayed on the ground. And these other guys didn't hit. His teammates didn't even beat this guy down. That pissed me off so bad. So I am officially boycotting soccer forever.
He's Charles Barkley, the Hall of Famer, NBA on TNT analyst. James Dolan had a little confrontation with a fan, and the fan just said, hey, sell the team.
Typical Dolan, overreacting. Unnecessary, uncalled for. Guy got thin skin, man. I mean, he hasn't done a good job with the team. And listen, I've heard fans say 10 times worse than that. But for him to do that, that's typical Dolan.
Well, you also talked.
Let me say this one thing though.
No.
Russell has to have thicker skin. Once you get that reputation where fans know they can irritate you by saying something to you, you got to ignore it, Dan, because then it becomes a contest. Who can light your fuse, and then you get away from your game plan. So as much as I love Russell, Russell's got to have thicker skin and ignore that stuff, because now everybody's going to be saying stuff just to piss him off.
Yeah, but you know that there's certain words that are said, and it's go time. Like just it.
Yeah. Well, but let me tell you something. When it's go time, what's going to happen when you go? You're going to hurt one of these fans.
Yeah, I know.
And you're going to be in jail, and you're going to be broke. Hey, listen, first of all, there's go words. Everybody knows there are go words. But if you go and beat one of these people up and hurt them, you're going to be in jail, and you're going to be poor. And let me tell you something. Black and poor don't work in any state. District of Columbia, Canada, it don't work anywhere. So you have to let that stuff go. Listen, Dan, now you know I've been arrested, I think, 4 times for hitting fans. I was wrong. I'm more mature now. At the time I hit them, they deserve to be hit. But I'm 56 now. I was wrong. You got to be able to walk away. I mean, because first of all, they don't want to fight you. They can't beat you. They want to upset you and sue you. I mean, that's the only thing they're trying to do. I like I say, I was wrong when I did it. I don't regret doing it, but I was wrong. You have to be man enough to admit when you're wrong. But at the time, they deserved it. But I'm older now. I got to walk away.
Now, how much did that cost you?
Oh, shoot. Well, going to jail always sucks. It didn't cost me a ton because I was found not guilty ever. The only time I ever felt really bad was a guy in Indiana. I popped him one good time, but he deserved it. We were getting beat by 40, and he was sitting right beside the bench. I said, yo, man, y'all up by 40, let it go. He kept chirping and chirping. I said, yo, man, if you keep chirping, I'm going to clock you. And he kept chirping. I clocked him. I was wrong, but he deserved it.
You did warn him.
I did warn him. I told him they were up 40. What damn, we getting our ass kicked. Let it go, brother. There's no need to be screaming at me. I'm sitting on the bench. We've thrown up the white flag. Let it go.
You said to Sports Illustrated that Kyrie and KD can't handle New York. They're too sensitive.
I don't think they can. I think both of them KD's a great player. Kyrie's a good player. I don't know if Dan, part of our job is to deal with the press. The press got a job to do, and I say they deserve a lot of responsibility for the stuff that's going on this year. They should have said from day one, training camp, hey, I'm not going to answer any free agent questions. And then if somebody asks you the question, just say, next question for the next 6-7 months. But I think both of them are really sensitive, and I think they would have a tough time playing in New York. That's just my personal opinion. Hey, I actually think they're both great guys. I think everybody know they're great guys. But I think everybody know they got thinner skin than Flat Stanley.
Do you understand the Lakers' game plan going into next season?
No, the Lakers screwed this thing up from day one. And then you go back and look at my tape from October. I says, what are the Lakers doing? Are they trying to make the playoff, bringing in all these old guys, or are they trying to figure out if their young guys can play? They had no game plan from day one. Listen, Dan, you got to make a choice. Either we're trying to grow these young guys or we're trying to make the playoffs. You can't have both. They put Luke Walton in a situation where he was going to fail. He was going to fail no matter what because, like I say, and it's not brain surgery. I don't understand. Listen, you got some really good young players. So let them see who you want to keep and who you want to trade. But when you bring in Rondo, Beasley, Lance, JaVale, you knew those young guys, number one, you're going to take their playing time, and they got off to a good start because that was the softest part of their schedule. And then LeBron got hurt, and then the thing went out of whack. But it was doomed from the beginning, and they had no plan, and now they got to pay for it.
If I'm a free agent, I don't want to go into this situation. You know, I wouldn't.
Well, I think the biggest thing, Kevin Durant used the word toxic. I'm not sure toxic is the right word, but I think what you have to understand if you go there, if you watch LeBron for the last X amount of years, when LeBron wins, he's the next better than Michael Jordan. He's the greatest thing in the world. But when they lose, everybody around him sucks. All the players suck, and the coaches suck. And if you're a free agent, you have to accept that. I mean, go back. Every year, first of all, LeBron is amazing. I'm not talking bad about LeBron. I know by the time it goes over the airwaves tomorrow, I'm talking bad about LeBron. But you have to understand, think about every year he's played in Cleveland or wherever. Every time they win, he's the greatest thing, which he's great. But every time they lose, everybody around him sucks, including the coach. And you see the same thing happening in L.A. It happened in Cleveland. So now, if I'm a free agent, I'm like, wait, I'm not going to get any credit. But if we lose, I'm going to get the blame.
Yeah.
I can go – there's three other teams that got max slots, and I don't have near the pressure upon me. So I think that's what's going to be the most interesting dynamic this summer with the Lakers.
I did. I talked to Candace Parker last week, and I said, could she beat you one-on-one? And she said, is that even a question?
Damn. Don't make me get sexist on your show. Because I don't want them women beating on my door.
This is just basketball. This is just two basketball
That's
players.
what I mean.
That's all this is.
Wait, assistant, you're going to make me be sexist, Dan. A woman can't beat me in a sport. Just stop it.
In any sport?
Any sport.
Oh, okay, wait. Let's take golf out of this.
Yes, a woman can't beat me in golf for sure.
What?
A regular person, not an LPGA pro, but like some regular woman on the street.
Are you saying Candace Parker would beat you one-on-one, Chuck?
Dan.
Chuck.
Let's raise some money for charity.
Oh
Let me go. Hey, listen, I love working with Candace. She's very talented. She does a fantastic job. But a woman can't beat me in a sport, Dan. Stop it. Dan.
Charles. Candace Parker is in shape, is young. She's good. She's a bowler.
Well, first of all, she's not that young. But Dan, Candace Parker cannot beat me in basketball.
Okay. All right.
I love Candace Parker,
Okay.
but, first of all, we're going to play half court.
Yeah, it's one-on-one.
Okay, I know. But, in the old days, we've actually played some, back in the day, you played some, that halfway full court thing sideways.
No, we're not doing that.
Okay, she can't beat me, Dan.
Yeah. All right.
Dan, I can't believe you insulted me, man.
She can't believe that I insulted her when I even asked the question there. It's different. It's different if she played against Shaq. Could she beat Kenny?
No, she can't beat Kenny either.
Could she beat Ernie?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. All right. Just
and listen. Oh, hell yeah, she could beat Ernie.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can set this up. You against Candace.
Well, let me tell you something. She's great there, but she can't beat me in basketball.
Okay, all right. Wait, are you just going to just back her in? Is that what your game plan is?
Absolutely.
They might call offensive fouls on you, Charles. It's today's NBA.
No, you don't. Listen, I can't touch her.
No.
The way they play this it's like playing in the WNBA and the NBA today. You can't touch anybody.
Oh, my God. That's why when I look at Harden and see what he does, and when Phil Jackson said a couple of years ago, Jordan would have averaged 45 a game in today's NBA. And
I totally agree with that. Dan, people looked at me last year. I said, James Harden is the greatest offensive player I might have ever seen. And Kenny came at me. He said, what about Michael and Kobe? I says, in today's game and James' ability to shoot the three, I think I said Iceman, Gervin, and Bernard King, those are probably the 4 greatest scorers I've ever seen. But I don't want to leave out Kevin Durant and guys like that. But James Harden in today's game, with his ability to shoot the three and put the ball down, I think he's the greatest offensive player that I've seen. And that's counting Michael and Kobe. But they played during the day when you can beat the hell out of people. But in today's game, and you have to give James his credit, he's the greatest offensive player I might have ever seen.
yeah, I'm there with you. I actually feel like he's underrated or underappreciated because he's a great three-point shooter, and he invites contact. He can get to the hoop. There's not many scorers who can do everything that he does, and I marvel at him when I watch him. Everybody's like, oh, he's a gunner. Well, he was gunning because they had to stay and play. That was the only offense they had when he had the injuries. But, I'm there with you. I think Harden will go down in history as, one of the top 5 scorers of all time. As far as, not points-wise.
You know what's interesting? I would be curious to see where he's at. Because if you look at, LeBron obviously just passed Michael. I wonder where James is on the all-time list. If he keep averaging 30-ish for another 5 to 7 years, he's got to be getting way up on the list.
Yeah.
How many points James got for his career? Can you have one of the Danettes click that in your ear right quick?
No, they can't do it that quickly.
See, that's the difference between a T&T. I can say
Hold on. Yes, Paulie.
James Harden, 18,116 points.
Wow.
Yeah.
18,000. Oh, man. So he'll be at 21, 22 in the next year.
And he's 29. So he's got...
And he got at least 5 more years where he's going to average over 30.
Yeah.
Probably 35, 30 to 35.
That's pretty good. Hey, always great to talk to you. Get in better shape because Candace Parker's coming for you.
Hey, listen, don't poke the bear, Dan. Don't poke the bear.
Thank you, Charles.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me.
That's Charles Barkley, Hall of Famer. If you missed any of our interviews from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, go to the Dan Patrick Show app. Watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave. Mercedes-AMG driving performance.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.